welcome to Here to Help You on my TCN TV network. So we have the regular crew in today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We have,
big up, Travelers.
I
Big
don't
up,
know,
big up.
can we even call her a special guest anymore?
No, she's not special. None
Wow.
at all.
I'm not special.
No, man, you ain't special
I'm
no more.
special, guys. I'm special.
At least not special in this show anymore. You understand?
Okay, so
I mean,
you're
you are
You've
special.
lost that.
You are special in life, but just on today's show, our show, our show, you are a regular here.
Okay, I'll take that.
Thank you so much.
So today, we're really happy to have you here today, Brittney,
I'm
because
back.
we are, you know what, we did our show last week on Victor Beausoleil's 2 books.
Yes.
The Year of the Gun and Resurrection.
Correct.
So I figured this would be a really good follow-up. We want to always be focused on what's trending, obviously, in the news. And one thing that's always trending is our legal system, especially with how our legal system, here we go again.
Lego. Yes, Lego.
Lego.
Chelsea, I got it under control today, I promise. Our legal system deals with Africans in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to be speaking about something that's, you know what, it's been talked about before, I think multiple times, but we're going to be looking at it from a different angle. And we're going to be also reviewing one of the leading forces in the Jim Crow laws. Her name is Michelle Alexander.
Yes.
And Brittney, if you want to show them that book, is currently reading the book, The Jim Crow Laws. If you can't see it, our lovely Chelsea is going to put it up on the screen for you. And this book goes into, you know what, actually, before I start, I'll let you explain exactly what Jim Crow laws are. We have a couple pictures that we're going to put up. Nope, that would be a book that we'll get there. We'll get there, Chelsea. Thank you. So I'll let you guys know right now if there's any technical difficulties. Our producer had to just come. What did she say she was doing? Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious.
So she's a little flustered.
We'll definitely get it right. That's for sure.
So we're gonna get it together with her because we are a team, right, Chelsea?
Good job,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So the new Jim Crow. First of all, let's talk about Jim Crow laws. There are some photos we're going to put up of what the Jim Crow laws were. So can you explain those for us, Brittney?
Okay, so Jim Crow laws were laws that were implemented specifically in the South that really dictated where and what people could do.
Okay.
Most of it involved segregation.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people who read, go into history, they see pictures of, the white drinking fountain and the black drinking
That's
fountain.
right.
And the white seating area and the black seating area. So that was all stipulated from Jim Crow laws.
Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so I know you've been reading this book, the Jim Crow laws.
I just started. So what people don't know, that Jim Crow was based off a minstrel play in the South. So it was actually a character until it evolved into an actual...
Explain the character. What was so derogatory about the Jim Crow
this
minstrel?
character was... it was basically was it a black character or was it a white character with black features?
Blackface.
Yeah, blackface.
That's right.
So
That's
they
right.
made fun of a majority of black features. So they had the big lips,
Exaggerated
the
lips.
dark skin,
Yes.
and
The big eyes.
Yes, and also the speech. You know what I mean? How we
Yes,
spoke
sir.
at the time.
Yeah.
Yes, massa.
Yes,
yeah.
massa, sir.
So it was implemented just to
Shucking
make fun
and
of
jiving.
us.
Yes.
you know
Step
what I
and
mean?
fetch it. The whole 9. Yep.
Exactly.
All of
Yep.
that. So it was not a very positive representation of us as Africans, but this is what was put out. And then it turned into, how did it turn into this whole law? How did they do that transformation? I'm going to say this, Brittney has just started reading this book.
Yes.
So she'll be very
Just
honest with
started.
you. She's digging through it because it is a very dense book. It's a lot of information to take in. And I know with you going into law, you want to make sure, and this is the one thing I respect about you, Brittney, is you don't just want to be a lawyer. You want to do this for us as a
Yes.
people. You are here for us. So you're learning everything you
Yeah,
can.
I
Yes,
can.
you're learning the Constitution, and
Yeah.
yes, you're learning the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but you're learning it and making sure that you put it out there,
Yeah.
and making sure that us Africans here
Yeah.
understand how this has worked not only against us, but how it
can work.
continues
Yeah.
to work against
And
us.
then as a lawyer, you need to find the little loopholes and try to make it work for you, not against
Yes,
you,
not
but
against
for
But
you.
yes.
You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? So it's just like, if you know that there's certain precedent out there that's gonna have, that's gonna do well for your client. You know what I mean? Even though they may go to jail, but 50 years is better than
Precedent. let's explain these things, because there's certain
Yes.
things I want to make sure that our viewers are understanding. Not everyone understands the legal jargon,
term, yes.
and we want to make sure that here, of course, as here to help you,
Here to help
Here
you.
to
we
help
are
you understand.
educating.
Yes.
That's right. This is
Yes.
an educational platform, so we don't want to just be throwing terms out there that you may not understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so precedents.
So
What does that mean?
precedent is.
I say it
is
wrong?
Yeah, you said.
I said president.
Yes.
I'm my father's child, you know. I'm gonna always say that. Very
God.
rarely does he get a word right. So allow me continue.
Celebes, right?
Celebes, yes.
Oh my
Paragraphs.
God. So precedent is basically a legal term. Basically when in the past, so if you would go to court, and sometimes the uniqueness of each case is so complex, or it's so unique that, you know, judges don't know how to decide. They don't know how to rule. So what they do is they look at past cases. So that's what precedent is. When you look at past cases and see how the judges ruled, and then you use that to kind of make
As like a
your ruling
guideline.
as a guide, right? Because if you
Okay.
look at judges, they don't know everything, and they don't know every case that's going to come into their courtroom, and they're not going to know how to judge every case, because there's different, you know, mitigating factors, there's different, you know, situations that really make up the case, and it's always different. So you need to make sure that if a judge doesn't know how to rule, they have something, you know, a previous case that they can use as a guideline. Okay, you know what, since this judge 3 years ago, you know, ruled this way, you know what, just to make sure things go aligned to the law, I'm gonna rule that way too.
So that can actually work against us, can't it?
It can.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so if, I guess this kind of goes into the gym. As you were speaking, it was kind of rolling through my head. So if precedents basically sets up how a judge will rule, if there's a law that is created that doesn't help us,
Yeah.
and judges continue to rule the same
that
way,
favor.
Run it.
Right.
Run it.
I'm learning.
Please.
I am learning.
Awesome,
Okay.
awesome.
So a judge will look back and say, okay, so this is what happened with this law, and these people,
Yeah.
let's just say that,
In this situation. And
Okay.
I don't know specifically how to rule in this situation.
So I'm gonna
to
go
make
off
it the previous situation.
but what if it was
Right.
a bad ruling?
Then you're gonna have to
Deal with that.
deal with that ruling. I think I don't know if most lawyers will come to terms or actually like go up into or go and get go get in front of a judge and just really try to criticize the previous ruling.
Right.
I've never heard of it. Of a lawyer doing that. You know what? Well, yes, Your Honor, you're going off of this previous decision, but that lawyer was crooked, or that judge was crooked,
Or that police lie
You
in
know what
that
I mean?
case.
Or
Okay.
it wasn't fair.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or this person's the defendant's charters and rights and freedoms were infringed upon when they made that ruling, or the Evidence Act wasn't followed. You know what I mean? Certain legislation wasn't followed when the judge came to that ruling. You
So
know
a
what I
good
mean?
Okay.
lawyer would go into depth when
Yeah.
looking at these type of things, or they would
I mean,
look
I
at
would.
those.
It take time, but most lawyers don't have that time. I mean, we're just go. But you know, a good friend, what's an Adrian Younger?
Yes.
I think he's the founder of Legal Line.
Not fun. He works with them. He's in
Works.
charge of like one of the divisions.
Yeah,
legal line.
he gave me some good advice when I was speaking to him about an issue, and he said, Brittney, you know, when you do choose to become a lawyer, just study one and master it.
Yes.
Right? So I just feel like I've seen, as of working in the industry amongst a lot of law firms, I see there's this one lawyer, but they study everything. So they also do, you know, family law, criminal law, you know, personal injury. And I'm just like, there's like,
How do you do so many?
Right.
How can you give your 100% to each and every, like, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just a bit weird, I find, you know? So for me, I just feel like if you study just focused on one, you'd be able to give your all to just one
and master it.
Right.
become the best at it,
Makes
right?
sense. It does
Learn
make sense.
everything that
Instead
you
of
need.
being jack of all
That's
trades
it.
and master of none.
Right.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
always
Mr.
on point.
Rankin,
Yes,
I am
yes,
today.
yes.
I am. There's no stuttering today.
She's on point today,
I'm
family.
on point
Yeah.
today, so
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Mr. Rankin, give us a little bit, because when we come back, I'm actually going to introduce who Michelle Alexander is.
Yeah.
I have a
Okay.
little bit of information on her, just so you guys have a better idea of who she is and where you can do your research on her as well. But kind of give us, because I know you're going to be tackling Canada, because you're the you're very scholared when it comes to knowledge of Canada.
That's a lovely adjective you gave me.
Scholared? You like that? Scholared.
It makes me feel like I have a few degrees under my belt.
Scholared.
You do.
So tell us kind of what we're going to be looking at when we speak about Jim Crow, because we're going to go a little bit more in depth.
Well, basically, when we're looking at, of course, the formation of Jim Crow, we are looking now, of course, the effect or the trickle-down effect into, of course, this nation of ours.
Yeah.
Right? The mass migrations, definitely. One author had point 1911, where there was over 1,000 of us who immigrated into Canada, and particularly Western Canada.
Okay.
This is where you get now your John Wares coming into Canada, and of course a lot of other black pioneers. There's a picture, in fact, we'll go to, of course, in the next segment.
We will talk about it, yes.
Which will go, of course, shed a little more light regarding the social conditions, at that point in time, right? So, I mean, separate but equal was something that was distributed among, of course, those across the border at one point in time as well, right? So Jim Crow,
separate but equal.
Yes, separate but equal. So when the effect of the Jim Crow's law came out, right, they were looking now at blacks and whites as being either equal people, right? However, though, considering that there were two distinctly separate races, right? So of course this held merit. So they held them as separate. Sometimes
equal.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. I didn't understand that. Thank you.
Mm.
Sorry, I didn't. I was like, you say things sometimes, and again, because we want to educate, I want to make sure we slow things down for people. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. Usually I expect word from Dave. Thank you, Dave. So when we do come back, we're going to look at Michelle Alexander. We're going to be looking at some of the articles, some of the TV appearances she has, what she's spoken about, and then we're going to dig a little bit more into some of the Jim Crow laws.
Yeah.
We'll get some pictures up for you. We're going to get that organized for you as well. So you can kind of see how these Jim Crow laws, how they were like devastating for us as Africans here, like what they did to us, because it wasn't good. It wasn't equality. We'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back. We are, you know what? Today's a little bit more of a serious show. It's not even that funny. No more laughing. I'm going to be serious. Some people have been saying, Simone, all you do is laugh on your show. But I'm like, you know what? Honestly, some of these topics are very intense.
Yes.
So you've got to bring a little bit of humor to it. Not that the issues or what we're discussing is funny, but you have to bring some light to it because they are heavy and we want you to be entertained as well as educated.
And people usually shy away from things that are controversial. They see it, they hear it, and they just change the channel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, listen, if you can learn about a serious topic while just getting a joke or two in, why not?
Of course. Stop it. We're not going there. Okay. We will hashtag Dege a little bit later because we haven't forgotten it. Okay. So let's talk about Michelle Alexander. So she is a civil rights lawyer. She's an advocate and she's a legal scholar, as well as the graduate of Stanford Law, Vanderbilt University. She wrote the book, The New Jim Crow, which offers a timely and original framework for understanding mass incarceration. They say that this is a book that is a call to action. So basically, she's writing so that we out here can start actively looking at what is happening in our system, especially in our legal system, and start protecting ourselves, right? So she's made a few TV appearances. She's been on the CNN Newsroom with Don Lemon. That was on October 20th, 2012. Just so you know, you can find a lot of these links that I'm going to tell you about on the new jimcrow.com. It has everything off. It has some information about her, and it goes through all of her TV appearances and articles. I just pulled a few so you can kind of go and check them out. The Colbert Report, which was on May the 8th, 2012. And then there's one that she did on Moyers and Company. This was on December 20th, 2013. And it was called Locked Out of the American Dream. So those are some of her TV appearances that she's made. There's so many.
Serious.
Yeah, there's a lot on there. There's maybe about 10 to 11. So you can check those out. Anyone who is looking like, I suggested it to Brittney, she was looking to be more of like a civil rights lawyer in a way. That's what you're kind of looking towards. This is why you're studying this. This would be a great website for you. It does give facts and provide some solid proof for a lot of the things that she says. Also, there's some articles. Sentence enhancement for drug offenders is a tool of community destruction. This was an article written in the Los Angeles Times on May 9th, 2016. Why police lie under oath. So this is one of those things we were talking about presidents. So why police lie under oath. That was, just so you know, that was written in the New York Times on February 2nd, 2013.
Okay.
How can a police lying under oath affect precedent? Say the word, please.
Precedent.
Precedent.
No, not president, right?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, now you want to speak up there? No, now you got something to say, huh? How would a police lying affect that?
Because it affects the overall
ruling.
the ruling of the case. I mean, if you're being tried by jury, those members of the jury are listening to that and taking that into consideration as they make their decision. If you're doing trial by judge, it's the same thing. That judge is taking what is being said and using it to come up with a ruling that's beneficial towards the case, or that, you know what I mean?
And what's interesting, what I liked about this, because she makes it very clear at the beginning that just because a police officer puts on a uniform, it doesn't make him not human. Humans lie. All of us. The uniform doesn't mean that you put it on and you turn into this non-liar. There are people who are racist out there. Let's just be real. There are cops who are racist.
Yep.
And they will lie. Okay?
Yeah.
There's one of our Okay, so Jim Crow, thank you. There's one of the Jim Crow. This is a law.
Yeah.
So whites and coloreds were not supposed to use the same bathroom.
Right.
No.
So let's just say a police officer said, we saw, which in the case with, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about. The young lady who said that he whistled at her.
Emmett Till.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
And then she
Till.
came out, a few years ago to say that
say that
it wasn't
all a
true.
lie.
it wasn't true.
That's right.
we're humans. Human people are going to lie. But those are the type of laws where a police officer could say, well, we saw that black man going into a white washroom. And the laws at that time would be what? Like, well, who knows? What were the laws at the time when they were caught doing stuff like that? Some of it was death, wasn't it?
Most of the time.
Some, yes.
Klansmen usually came after you and just
And
handled you
then
that
they
way.
took care of you,
They were
right?
the police.
So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
interesting that she does speak on that, because it's important that we realize that, you know what, like, unfortunately, the laws have not been created for us. Most of them have been created against us. So we need to understand them and learn them. This is why we continue to bring you on, Brittney, because from the bottom up, people need to understand what's happening legally. Again, this jargon, a lot of this legal things, it's dense, it's heavy, it's tough. So we're hoping we're breaking it down for you. So then there's another article, the last one. It's called The Myth of Desegregation. And that was in Time magazine on February 3rd, 2012. So there's this myth that we were no longer segregated.
Okay.
And Michelle said that isn't, I saw the
That
eye
gets
roll.
a
The
real
eye roll
eye,
was
sorry.
intense, eh? Like, wow. All type of eye was rolling. But that is a myth, because clearly we're seeing segregation happening with mass incarceration.
We're seeing it in other ways too.
Right.
I mean, just
Yeah.
because the law says, hey, you guys don't have to, you don't have to use your own colored washrooms, and just because the law says, you know what, you guys can go to school together, all races can go to school together, doesn't mean segregation is gone.
Yeah.
They just, okay, we can't legally do this, so let's find other ways we can implement it.
Right. Right.
That's just really what happened.
It is.
Correct.
They've just made it.
Yeah. And that's what she says. As I've read, the first couple of pages, Michelle Alexander, she stated this. Okay, yeah, there's no Jim Crow. Cool. But there's Jim Crow here and here, not legally,
right.
but they give it beautiful words to kind of make it sound good, to make people, agree, okay, that sounds good, so, it must be right.
So they give us racism with a side of Novocaine.
Yeah. Ouch.
So we'll give you a needle so you don't feel it as much, but it's still happening.
No,
How does it feel?
Right?
You okay?
You ain't got no tooth.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So those are some of the things that Mrs. Michelle Alexander has done. And also, I don't know if anyone's seen this, Netflix. We watched this last year.
Yeah.
The 13th. Chelsea, there's a clip. Can you throw that up so people can see what the 13th is all about? If you haven't seen this movie right here will tell you everything.
Yeah.
It talks about Jim Crow.
Yeah.
It talks about how all these laws have been changed and worded against us.
Yeah.
Right.
It shows us that this amendment right here made sure that we were not free.
Absolutely.
We were written into law.
Yeah. It even goes to talk about the fact that how, the process into slavery, why we were even freed, right? Freed as slaves.
Talk
right?
about it, girl.
It had nothing to do with, a lot of people like, oh, he freed the slaves. What a good man.
Oh, yeah, Lincoln, right?
It was all a money tactic.
It was
Right.
all
All
about
about
economics
economics.
and politics.
And
Very
people,
true.
and if people continue to read, it was just that he wasn't getting his cut of the pie. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, all right, I'm gonna free everybody. Right? Sorry, it's not even like that. I'm just
Everybody
free.
free.
I'm trying to, put a little bit of, humor to
Exactly.
it. But that's
It's
just
true.
just what happened. He wasn't getting his piece from the slave owners who owned, and they were
Right.
comfortable with their slaves.
Exactly.
So he wanted the slave owners to buy more slaves, but I guess the slave owners were comfortable with the slaves that they had.
They didn't want any more.
Exactly. So he was losing out on money, correct?
Right.
And because he was losing out on money, he said, you know what? I'm just going to free the slaves, because if
You
I'm not
guys
going to
can't
make
have
money,
slaves.
you
Right.
can't
You're
have
not
all the
making any money
You did.
either.
I'm not making any money, so I'll
Exactly.
free them.
And what was
Exactly.
that war called that was during that time? Was that the Civil?
Civil War.
The Civil War. Okay, so interesting things. So that movie, The 13th, please take a look. Okay, Chelsea has up some Crow laws there. Leave that up there for a second, Chelsea. I just want people to take a minute and read some of those.
What I like about the 13th Amendment is I have one of my students, and she's in grade 12. She's going to university now, and she, in English class, they had to watch this.
That's excellent.
And
Okay.
I was very impressed at not only how much she retained and how much it interested her, but the fact that, certain schools are now showing this as part of their curriculum. So it's just like,
It's a step.
it's
Yeah, I mean,
a baby step.
It
but-
happens daily.
Yeah.
For instance, there was a city in Quebec that at one point in time said that anybody of mixed race had to leave the city.
What?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
When was this?
I'm not sure exactly how far back, but I know the
Okay.
National Post has written an article on this specific city in Quebec, right?
Really?
So it's apparent.
Novocaine.
No, that wasn't Novocaine.
That was straight up, pull out the tooth.
Exactly.
Tooth gone.
Yes, all of it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Mr. Rankin, we're coming back to you
Uh-huh.
because we're going to go back to the Jim Crow again over there. But tell us some things that you have found. You were talking about, that book, Chelsea.
Yes, Blacks in Deep Snow.
I like the title of that book, Blacks in Deep Snow.
Beautiful, by
There it
Mr.
is.
Colin A. Thompson. It's a wonderful resource for those who just wanted to find out what the life was like for the earlier settlers.
Black pioneers.
Yes, among the prairies, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, so
Yeah.
on and so forth, right? I have it in my collection. It's a very easy read, not a huge book, but definitely something as a foundation, right, that we can all could use in regard to any type of research going forward.
Tell us a little bit. Do you remember some things from that book? Do you remember some things? Tell us a little bit that you remember about that migration because of these laws that were implemented.
Well, first and foremost, of course, adjusting to that type of climate, right? Coming from, of course, a more of a warmer climate, going to now Western Canada, where, of course, during that time where it was cold.
Or in Saskatchewan?
Yes.
Why?
Very cold. So, I mean, by means, you know what? Adjusting to that lifestyle. Of course, adjusting to, of course, the settlers that are already there, the natives. John and Ware, of course, and some of the natives, they grew a more closer relationship for the fact that they were there already, right? I don't remember specifically which tribe was out there, but by means, the fact that they've come into this land, they've already seen a new set of people which are already there. Why not go ahead and forge a relationship with the people which are already there so that they can go ahead and learn the ropes, which they did, right? There was other things that were mentioned. By means, of course, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've actually read the book, but it is something that could be once again be added to your library.
All right. So that book is again called
Blacks in Deep Snow by Colin Thompson.
Thank you. See, and even the author. Thank you for that.
No worries.
So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Jim Crow. We'll go through some of the things that you found interesting about the book, Brittney, and then we'll do some follow-up with what is happening at Here to Help You. See you soon.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back to Here to Help You. Today, if you are just joining us, the original crew, the Here to Help You crew is on. We have our community legal expert in the corner, Miss Brittney Channer. We have the cultural educator in the middle here, Brother Dave Rankin.
The best part of the sandwich, no?
The best part of the sandwich. And of course, it's just me, Simone Jennifer Smith.
The donut.
Midday,
the donut.
I'm here today, and I haven't made any mistakes. Well, one at the beginning, but I've been pretty good. Okay.
Yes.
So, talk to us. Brittney, I know there's some certain things you've pulled from there, and I see that you've been playing on the iPad as well here. Give us some information. Talk to us about Jim Crow. Tell our viewers what they need to know about this and why this is still such an important topic.
As someone who's still, learning about this and learning how Jim Crow plays a part in 2017, it's important to know the type of laws that were implemented back then and see how they were implemented, how they are still implemented now. Okay. And when I decided to pick up this book, that was my goal, to find out how Jim Crow still plays a part in 2017. A lot of people are under this type of thinking, or this line of thinking, where Jim Crow and segregation is gone. And what I really respect about Michelle Alexander is that she states that just Jim Crow the name is gone. It's just been covered up by fancier names that allow individuals who are not as not as willing to do research to just
I like how you put
have
that.
an understanding or an early acceptance.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So she says in the book that basically in the United States, if you are a convicted felon, right, majority of all your rights are taken away. And that's how Jim Crow continues to exist. So she states, I'm trying to find here, but I'm just going to paraphrase, but she says that, as you know, if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote. You're in jail for you can't vote. So, and isn't voting your right as a citizen?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't vote. obviously you now have a criminal record. So anything employment,
It's difficult.
it's gone.
If
It's
not
difficult for you.
impossible.
All right. And in order to get an apartment, you need to have a job, and you need sometimes you can't have a criminal background.
Right.
So there you're discriminated right there.
Yes.
Right. So that's another aspect where you're discriminated against. Right. And then education. You don't have the money because you have no job. You can't get an education.
Right.
Yes.
So that's another form of discrimination.
Yes.
But the reason why people who do try not to do the research accept it because, the ignorant just say, well, they shouldn't have done the crime in the first place. But it's just that, like, okay, don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. But look at all these, rights that you have as a citizen that are now taken away from you. So this is Jim Crow because under Jim Crow law, black people had no rights. So you mean to tell me that the largest percentage of black individuals, they make up the largest percent
Of the prison system.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So
Right.
look at all those people that cannot vote, cannot get an education, cannot get employment, cannot get housing.
What are they supposed to do? And that's where there's a lot of psychology that
Yeah.
goes into
Of course.
that.
Of course.
I was listening to Dr. Amos Wilson just to go off of what you said, Brittney, and he said when you think about the Skinner box and the mice, when you think about Pavlov's dog, people don't realize that's us that
Yeah.
they're doing these experiments
Right.
on, like
Right.
the projects. Listen, what is a project?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's an experiment. That's what
Yeah.
the projects were. We're an experiment where they put all of us together and
Yeah.
said, let's watch chaos happen.
Exactly.
Right? And then they, of course, put all these laws now, like, they'll come up with any law. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Brittney, I remember we spoke about this. In Dixon, there was a sign that said, no playing, you can play soccer, you can ride your bike.
And you can't play basketball.
You can't play
basketball.
anything
Yeah.
in the middle of Dixon Towers. I remember I took a picture. I wish I still had that picture because in my head I'm like, hold on. So you're saying in these 3 buildings with all these children, they can't play soccer, they can't ride their bikes?
Right.
I was so confused. I'm
And
like,
the funny thing is the majority of, because we work in that neighborhood, we know that soccer is a big thing in that neighborhood.
Correct.
Yeah.
So why not like rugby? Right? Yeah. Why not hockey? Right? Why soccer?
like it was just weird. And I think they may have taken that sign down. They may have. I'm going to take a
Okay.
look around next week. I promise everybody, I'm going to walk around Dixon because I will be there. And I'm going to see if I see that picture. And I'm going to take a picture of it and post it again.
by
Because
means,
I
of
remember when
course.
I saw that, I was like, this is ridiculous because technically with that being up there, that's kind of like a law. It's saying
It is.
you're prohibited to do this. So if
Right.
you're caught doing this, what does that mean? What happens to you? Whether it's a slap on the wrist or whatever, you're still in the system.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Because that no loitering,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
They pop up all of these liquor stores and wonder why most of us are alcoholics.
Right.
They have them in the States. They have them every corner.
Every block.
It's just recently now in Canada we're starting to see liquor
In
stores.
the grocery
In the
store.
grocery
Everywhere.
stores. That's right.
And I'm going to be honest with you, it's in certain places.
Right. Remember last week when we covered Victor's book in the Year of the Gun, it's a problem he quoted where the liquor stores are open later than the library.
Than
The libraries,
Yes.
yeah. I actually was having this conversation with my friend Rashida, and as I was studying for the LSATs, it was a very trying time for me, and I was just very, very annoyed because it's just like I couldn't study in my house, and the type of studying I wanted to do was like right up until 3-4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Rashida, like, Rashida, why is the fact that I can get a bottle of rum at like 11 o'clock, but I can't even study
to a
in the
library.
building? Like,
Right.
this is ridiculous. I'm trying to further my education, trying to get into school, and this is not happening for me. Why is that happening?
Yeah.
Like,
Of
why?
course. Of
Things
course.
are set in place, and regardless of whether we want to believe it or not, I'm not saying now. Again, I don't want to ever have people use it as a scapegoat because
No.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
a
It's not a
scapegoat.
scapegoat.
You just have to identify. I understand that many of us are ignorant. Even I was up to a point ignorant about how these laws shaped our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point that you have to take responsibility for you and for your family. And that's what we are trying to make sure we do, is provide that education for people to
Absolutely.
do that.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. So I got a question. Now, of course, with the restructuring of the Jim Crow laws, right now, how do you find this affects now transitioning into the school systems?
Ooh.
That's a very good.
I think Dave has an answer.
I think he does definitely have an
Yes,
answer
I think
for
you
that.
should answer your own question.
Answer our own question.
Yes, Dave.
Yeah.
Go on with it. Run
You see,
that.
I wanted the host by means, you know,
To help. We have. Okay, let's help you. You answer it, Dave.
Yes.
Go
You
ahead.
take it away,
Well,
and then
thank
I'll
you.
chime in.
You
Yeah,
chime
we'll
in?
chime in. We'll help support
we'll
you.
both chime
We'll
in.
both chime in?
He's giving
Sounds good.
me his look like, really? You're not going to answer the question?
Go on with it. We know you have this, Dave.
Okay, so now we're looking at the Ontario
Yeah.
Safe Schools Act, the Safe Streets Act, right? Back in the late 90s, early 2000s under Mike Harris.
Yeah.
Right, where you're looking at now zero tolerance in our schools, right? Now, if you are seeing the social and economical aspects of our lifestyles
Yeah.
being implemented on us, you know, we're looking at trickle-down Reaganomics at that point in time where
Ooh,
the tax
we're gonna go
cuts,
there.
right? The tax cuts took place, right?
Yes.
Now, the after-school programs are cut because, of course, they're tax cuts, so, right? Now, of course, brothers and sisters that are on the corners, right? They now become targets,
Yes.
right? Now, targets now, of course, get into trouble.
Yeah.
And that leads, of course, to criminals.
It's just
right.
yeah.
Now, of course, now when we have our parents now who have nothing else to do, have to go ahead now and take up extra jobs
Yeah.
just to go ahead and feed our children.
That's right.
Our children now are forced to go ahead and grow up themselves.
Yeah.
Right now, they end up developing a complex.
Understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
So now this complex now, whether it's an attitude, an aggressive attitude, right, or
Very
you know
aggressive.
what, it's simple fact that you know they may not have any food, so of course now their attention to learning now is a lot off
Yeah.
or different. This now leads, of course, now a zero tolerance now attitude or mindset
And
kicking in.
Yeah. I think this doesn't even like now that I've been, you know, had a chance to really ponder that question. I really do see it. Like, you know, obviously Jim Crow separated, you know, white students from black students.
Correct.
Obviously, Jim Crow does not exist anymore. But the implementation of, you know, what is that program that they put students who are not advancing as quick as teachers want them to.
Was it not the alternate school, but the
You know
was it
exactly what I'm
was it
talking
the
about.
IEP?
The IEP program.
IEP.
Right.
And this follows you right until high school, and it has me thinking like it has you branded as a certain type of student, right? And there's no way you can come off of it, and you have to fight to come off of it. You
And
know
they
what I mean?
force you
Yeah.
to go on it sometimes. They
Right?
don't ever offer an alternative. It's like, you've got to go into this program.
Absolutely.
We had a student, and we went to a meeting where the student was new to the country. The student had only been here 2 years. And they're
Right.
like, sorry, we only give the students 2 years in
2 years.
ESL.
Imagine
What?
learning a new language and you're only given 2 years to master it. That's crazy.
And then you have a learning problem.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And back to what you said with the programs. I remember back in the 90s, like I remember having something to do from Monday to Friday after school. Like there was no time for me to
Breaks. Yeah.
There was
Right.
no time for me or my brother to really cause trouble because it was Monday, it was cooking program, Tuesday after school program, 3 karate. Like these were programs, and now these all have been cut. Right?
Right.
There's really nothing that the students can really do to occupy their time. So this is what they start, and it's these programs within the unfortunate neighborhoods that
High
or
risk.
high risk
Right.
or at risk neighborhoods
Right.
because and when you look at other neighborhoods that are privileged, you know, the parents can usually afford to have private lessons.
Yes.
But the only things that, you know, the programs that we need that are funded by the government that's really going to keep the children out of trouble and keep their minds going are being cut. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is how, you know, this is Jim Crow,
Yeah,
you know?
even the whole idea of academic and applied, you know it, because I've had a lot of students who the first thing they, you should do, is it applied?
Applied is like
Applied
the lower
classes.
level
Like
and
general.
academic. And I had it in high school, and it's just that like having all my, you know, and I went to a very academic high school, and having, you know, my guidance counselors push me to applied. It's just like, and even
Push
though,
you
to applied
applied.
because
Okay.
they already sought it that I wasn't good enough for academic, even though
Okay.
my achievements and my goals were academic. Like
They pushed you to
they
apply.
pushed me. They even wanted me out of the school because they think I couldn't handle it, and decided, I think Brittney should go to a school that's much more her level. And this school that they were pushing me to was in the hood, and where majority of, you know, the crime takes place, and where all the students who don't really care about their education goes. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's just like, no, let's not care about the fact that she wants to do better, that she wants better for herself and her family, and she wants to learn. Let's just
push her into apply.
Yeah, we don't want
Right.
her as our problem.
Right.
And this is Jim Crow.
Interesting. So when we do come back, we're going to continue on this because it's now we're seeing how it has affected even our education system here in Canada.
Yeah.
People think it's not diffusing and there's not that ripple effect.
Yeah, it is.
But it is. We'll see everyone soon.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Welcome back. So we had some support from our producer. She's like, yes, preach it. Talk about applied. She want to go cuss all her teachers now.
Right.
Because all their teachers try to push her into applied classes.
No, because I totally understand, and I understand where Chelsea is coming from. Just because it's like, okay, yes, you have an individual who's not as his or her strong point is not academic math. But why would you just tell them to give up and go to something easier? You know what I mean? Just that's how you get your thinking stagnant. You know, you have to challenge them. And honestly, being in high school and that academic school that I wasn't used to challenged the crap out of me because I had to write at an academic level and I didn't know how to do that. I had to speak at an academic level. Didn't know how to do that, especially coming from the hood, right? I was all about my heel. 2 2s, 4 times.
Differently still.
Yeah,
true.
You know, this girl's chasing me, you know. And I realized being in that type of environment, like, you look the odd person out speaking like that. So I'm like, I don't want to be out. So I challenged them, and, you know, it helped me grow.
Yeah, man.
So instead of pushing people into these programs because they can't catch up, why don't you help them get up there?
Because that doesn't work for their system.
That's the
You've
thing.
got to understand.
That's why we need to change the system.
Or create our own. Because you know what? The system hasn't been working. And we've been trying to change the system. People, and the thing, there's people before us.
Yes.
Who've pushed, who've died.
Yes.
Who have gone through it all to change this system, and it still hasn't changed. If anything, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why adapt to a system that doesn't accept you?
Forget their system. Create our own.
Of course. You know, at one point in time, sorry to interject, but at one point in time, out of all our high school dropouts among, of course, I'm used black. Just go ahead and, you know, generalizing, right?
Yeah.
60% of black youth dropped out of high school.
That's terrible. I've read that.
At one point in time, 60%.
Yes. It's a huge, that's over half of the school population.
Yes. With nothing at one point in time, no challenges to the system, no challenges to, you know, even creating something out, nothing whatsoever. 60%.
Then they drop carding.
And once again, of course, they drop out. They have less than a high school education, so of course the chance for a job is demoralized.
It's diminished.
Right?
And you also see Jim Crow, just not Jim Crow, but you see the differentiation in different types of schools. Because like I said again, you know, I had my home school, and then I had the academic school that I went to. So in my academic school, I'm taking Latin, I'm taking Greek mythology, I'm taking psychology and sociology and law, criminal law. And then my brother, he went to the school that I was supposed to go to school in the home school, and he's taking cooking, dance, you know what I mean? He's taking courses that, like, no business classes, you know what I mean? It's just homemaking, parenting,
Oh boy.
What are you really trying to say? You want to? Like, why do you want me to take care of this child? What am I gonna learn to be a
parent, a young parent,
a young parent?
Right.
So it's just like it's these little subtle little courses.
They're very it's very subtly done.
Because I didn't have a parenting class. I had no dance class. We only had drama and music. And the music I'm talking about were strings, so violin, cello,
Right.
vocal, band. So these were very like prestigious
They've
instruments.
cut all that out
Right.
now. They don't have that much anymore. I don't think they have that anymore.
Boy,
I remember when we were young,
that's-
we used to go on trips, boy.
Right.
Pioneer Village and there's some other things I went on, but I'm old now, so I can't remember what they are. But I know we did a lot. I was always on a trip, so it's.
I agree.
I know things are definitely hurting us here, and
Yeah.
and we shouldn't ignore the fact that these laws. Carding, I know we don't want to go into it too much, but I know you've done a little bit on it.
Yeah.
How can you relate that to Jim Crow?
Just because with Jim Crow, I mean, if you look at, the 13th Amendment and how the police used to, abuse their power in order to find or to get, to send an African American to jail, it hits home to a lot of, people of color in Toronto because with this new carding legislation, it's like you're stating that a police officer with no grounds really can come up to you, and even though they say okay they have to have grounds, I mean, like you said, they're human. Some of them may not follow the law, right?
They might have their biases. We all do. We're human.
Right.
So,
We're human.
You will have an officer who may have their biases, who may have their own interpretation of a particular race, how they act and behave, and may come up to you and say, you know what, somebody looks like you who fits your description. I need this from you. I need your information. And according to the law, you're telling me that you have to have probable cause in order to search me, in order to question me. You know what I mean? But now with this carding, with this carding legislation, that where does that leave this one law of probable cause? Where does that lead that? How much things you have to
It's
change.
so gray.
And now they're saying that, okay, you know what, you can always decline, right? And walk away, but can you?
Can you decline? And again, it's that power, because there's always 3 or 4 of them, and then just you.
Exactly.
Right.
And most people, are scared of the police, right? Because of what we've seen, especially
Conditioning.
now. The conditioning, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We just become immune to it. But when we're in that situation where, police officer, even me, myself, sometimes the law-abiding citizen that I am, when police officers try to come around me or ask me a question, or even when I lost my wallet and I left my wallet on top of the car and I drove off, okay? And somebody brought it into the police station, and the police officer called me. He's like, "Hi, this is Sergeant so-so." And I was like, "I didn't do anything wrong." And they're like, no, we found your wallet. Can you meet me at the gas station? And my mom is like, "I'm going with you because I don't trust these officers."
But as much as we're laughing, that's messed up.
But it's real, though.
But even when they came in their unmarked vehicle and they came up to me and they could see it's me and it's my ID, I felt so scared because something in me was like, yo, they don't believe me. They have my ID, they don't believe me. I feel like they were being too nice. They won't let me go. Can I go? Can I get in my car? These are things, right? Can I leave?
Exactly.
So it's just I'm human as well, and these things and it's unfortunate that these are the thoughts that run through my mind and many people of color, their minds as well. You know what I mean? Is this officer gonna shoot?
It's
if
an anxiety-ridden situation.
Of course. And and we mentioned some of this last week as well, right? Where now, of course, the interactions, right, lead to us now having this, once again, an anxiety effect. So every time we see them, regardless of where we are, the hairs on the back of our neck start sticking up, and we start wearing guard. We're all tense up because, I wonder what they're looking at.
Are they following me?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So I mean, we're in a bad shape mentally in regards to dealing with the police.
Yes.
Right. And at the same time, as you mentioned last week, the only way that this is going to get better is some sort of dialogue. I remember once again, as we pointed last week, where officers were going to the school and started establishing, of course, that type of relationship with the students. Yeah. Now they just police the schools.
Yeah, it's different. Now it's different.
Right? They search for weapons. Quote unquote weapons, the drugs, so on and so forth. Okay, great. But now, of course, we have these officers now exuding all types of force on teenagers.
Yeah.
Very intimidating.
It's sad just because
very, very intimidating.
I don't know. It's just very sad. I feel like even when police try to, hey guys, we're here to help, no pun intended, right?
But
like
here to help you.
But like
We're
it's
here to
just
help.
that like even when they come with good intentions, even the smallest child can read history books and see how unfairly people of color, black people were treated. So it's just like there's always that inclination like I don't trust you because
Right.
of how people who look
Right.
like me were treated
before.
Right.
and you can't guarantee, and people who look like me are still
being
treated.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
just-
It
I
is
don't know.
pretty messed up, but this is why we as an organization are doing our best to educate. So I wanted to give some quick updates on some of the things that we are doing and where people can find us and find what we're doing and ask us questions. So every last Sunday of the month, African Studies, where we look into things like this.
Yes, we do.
look into laws. We eventually going to have Miss Brittney come in and speak in one of those
In
classes.
one of the
It would be really
classes.
cool
Oh my
to have
Yes.
her come there. And
That's
speak there.
right.
And this class is hosted by Brother Dave Rankin
Yes.
and Brother Shaduzi. So hopefully you can get some more people to come out to one of those classes.
Yes, by all
That'd be
means.
awesome.
Yes, for those who are wanting more information, 416-551-2469 is the phone number to call.
I've been to one of the classes. Very great discussion. It's for those who want to just learn. Just learn. Come out and learn.
And the great thing about it, we are going to be starting African study classes for children 13 and under.
Yes, at some point in time.
Yes,
yeah, we're in the
we're early stages
Yes,
of
we are.
formulating it, but we think that it's necessary to provide this type of information for our younger students as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They need it, and it'd be good to get them in a group session and at least have 2 or 3 of us in there to help move the discussion along and help them, if there's things they're misunderstanding. It's just good to have that environment, that group cohesion. So we're going to be doing that as well. So we're going to be having the adults African studies and children African studies soon. Also, Here to Help Summer Sessions, some wonderful news for Here to Help Summer Sessions. We have our first American student. So listen to this.
Yes.
I got a call from a young lady. She's here from New York, and she heard about us, and she decided to enroll her son into class with Mr. Rankin here. But what I find amazing about it is the fact that we are starting to reach out. We now have our first New York clients. So it's good to know that one thing that I think a lot of our parents are appreciating, especially with Dave, is the fact that he is a brother going into some of these homes. And some of these young men who may or may not have a father around, if they don't have a father around, they have someone who's there showing them the ropes. If they do have dad around, sometimes dad is busy. Fathers are busy working. They got to bring in that money sometimes.
That's
right?
true. It happens.
So sometimes it's good to have that there. So we were learning that a lot of our families appreciate having that male and female, again, that balance. Of in the home. So that's been working out really well. As we all know, it takes a village to raise a child.
That's
so
right.
we've become that village, and it's a wonderful thing. We're reaching places. Also, Miss Brittney Channer, our legal expert here, has been doing her work. She's still preparing contracts, helping prepare contracts for businesses. She's reviewing contracts for their authenticity, just making sure that you, as a business, you're covering yourself to make sure that you're okay, because a lot of us don't know this legal stuff. So it's good to have those eyes. So we thank Brittney for that she's out in the community helping a lot of our young businesses develop. It's a growing experience for us as well, but we're trying to be that village for everybody. And we are doing a call for action right now. We are now interviewing and training for mentors and tutors for our September 2017 year. If you are about your community, if you really want to make that difference, please contact me, HEAR2help@hotmail.ca. You can send a resume in to myself. I'll get you in contact with Dave and Brittney, and we can get you in and get you prepared. It's growing. Here to Help is growing.
Yes, it is.
And we want you to grow with us. So I'd like to thank again. Brittney, thank you for coming on again. We're going to have you on.
Chabalas.
Yeah, man. We're going to have you on. She's going to be leaving us in a month, but we're going to be having on one more time before she leaves.
Yes.
Mr. Rankin, thank you for just being that male energy that we need.
Thank you.
Here in the community and obviously here on the show.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank myself for not making any mistakes today.
Yes. Big up.
And Chelsea. Ayo.
Yes.
Wow, with it, Chelsea. Chelsea getting all aggressive over there in the back because she mad about her academic and applied classes. Thank you everyone for watching us again. We are going to see everyone next week. Have
Thanks
a great
for
week.
listening.